All right, next we've got Robert Van Egmond, the Vice President of Exploration for Dolly Varden Silver, and he's going to be having a fireside chat with Stephen Sook of Stifel. Please welcome them.
Hello, everyone. Right, we can talk about Dolly Varden Silver today.
Yeah.
I feel I should face you there. Why don't you start off, introduce yourself and maybe 30 seconds in the company first for everyone.
Okay, my name's Rob Van Egmond. I'm the Vice President of Exploration at Dolly Varden Silver. I've been with the company since 2017 on the technical side of things. And Dolly Varden Silver, we're advancing one of the highest grade undeveloped projects in the Golden Triangle of northwestern British Columbia.
Thank you very much. Right, why don't we start off with where you're based, because I think people in Quebec maybe don't know or understand doing business in the BC, in the Golden Triangle. So what do you got?
Yeah, so we're in an area called the Golden Triangle. You've probably heard of it, but it's an area in northwestern British Columbia, so we can drive to it from Vancouver. It's quite often perceived as an area that's very rugged, mountains and glaciers, which it is. But there's been a lot of advances in infrastructure with several mines going in, Bruce Jack, Eskay Creek, things like that, high-grade precious metal mines. But that's brought in road infrastructure and hydroelectric power, so our cost of drilling is quite low because we're on tidewaters, so we barge in our heavy equipment and all of our fuel, and so it's a good place to work.
I mean, well, actually, expand on that then, in terms of the cost of drilling, the cost of doing business there. What does it look like compared to anywhere else?
Yeah, so I think, here you don't need to use helicopters as often. We use helicopters. We do have roads into the project, so we can bring in most of the equipment to a certain point, and then we just do small hops. So we're looking at about $400 to $420 a meter drilling, and here it's more in the $200 to $250 range.
Right.
But for the Golden Triangle, that's a very good because we have that advantage of our infrastructure.
Okay, and let's talk about what you've got. Okay, so we'll get onto the business plan strategy in a second, but what you've got pure play silver, and you've got gold, about 50-50, is that about right?
Yeah, it's a very unique project. So it is the only pure silver deposits in the Golden Triangle. So we sometimes call it the silver lining on the Golden Triangle.
Too much.
But we report our resources in 100% silver. So we're not reporting silver equivalents, where quite often 70% of the reported value is base metals. This is silver. We have 0.5% lead, and that helps in our concentrate or on the metallurgical work we've done. And then we have another component on some other deposits in the northern part of the project that has gold. So we have about 1 million ounces of gold and about 63 million ounces of silver.
Okay, so but you're still an exploration company. You want to find more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in terms of that sort of that kind of mix that you've got there, you're going to have to come at it in slightly different ways, aren't you? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the silver for now? Are you a silver company with gold?
We're a silver company. We just again, we're half silver, but the deposits are or the resource is made up of several deposits. So we have 4 deposits in the southern part of the project, which are more volcanogenic and epithermal, low temperature epithermal. So those are silver, those are pure silver. And then divided in the north is higher temperature epithermal veins, higher level, so higher above a heat source.
Yeah.
And those are about 50% gold and 50% silver. So the idea, because it's not one big deposit, is to sort of create a hub and spoke idea, where we would bring material from the individual deposits to a central processing area.
What does that do to your costs in terms of, you've got, how many targets are there? Well, not targets, how many assets are there currently?
Currently, there's 2 projects really that we have. Is the Kitsault Valley project, and on that project, it's about 25 kilometers in length along the favorable horizon that we can talk about later. And then we have another side project, which is only 5 kilometers away, and it's something we just consolidated. It's a copper-gold porphyry system called the Big Bulk. But we just consolidated that. That's something that needs a lot more work, but our focus has been on the precious metals in the Kitsault Valley.
Right, okay, and would you look to try and join up some of these assets, or is it literally going to have to be, we've got pockets here and there, and we'll just truck it to wherever you put the mill?
Yes, we're working on joining the different deposits just because of the structure in the valley. A lot of the structures that are mineralized are 90 degrees to each other. So we have some new discoveries that have really opened up the project. And just, what we did was we drilled through a sedimentary cover layer that didn't allow the mineralization and alteration to come through. So this is a 100-year-old mining camp, and all the little showings on the side of the valley, the silver showings, have been all kind of discovered already. But through modern exploration, 3D modeling and some geophysics, we noticed that there was some trends going underneath that sedimentary cap, and we drilled through that, expanded out mineralization, and found new systems underneath. So we are trying to drill and join everything underneath.
Right, okay. And let's talk, we'll kind of come to what the silver market's doing and a bit of macro maybe towards the end here. But again, just looking at your share register, it's very institutional. We've got some well-known names in there. What's that doing for your liquidity?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the share structure, just to bring a little bit of a highlight to what you're talking about. We only have about 8% retail, and so our liquidity is actually very good because we are a primary silver company, and so we get a lot more leverage through our equities on any changes in silver price. So as the silver price goes up 10%, we go up 30% sort of thing, and it's because of that small retail value. But they also recognize that the rest of the sticky shareholders, so the other 92%, are made up of companies like Hecla. They're the premier silver producer in the States, and they want to be in Canada as well, and so they're in it for the long run. We have another corporate, Fury Gold Mines, that is they have properties here in Quebec, but they got that position through the sale of Homestake Ridge. So that's the gold portion. And then the institutional part, almost 50%, they're all in it for the long run. They all participate on our money raises. Hecla, for example, invested another $10 million just at the end of last year, based on the fact that we are pure silver, and it is a whole area play. It's sort of part of an area that hasn't seen as much action as the center part of the Golden Triangle.
Okay, so that's interesting that I guess a little bit of trading moves your stock quite violently.
Yeah.
Kind of the silver market, in my view, over the last few years, reacts like that. A very enthusiastic audience, shall we say. I guess the flip side of that is, with this institutional coverage, is that it's easy to access money, it seems. I mean, if Hecla's thrown in 10, was that off the back of any transaction, or why did they come in with that?
No, it wasn't on the back of anything. They do have a ancillary rights agreement with us from earlier investments in 2012.
Right.
And so as long as they maintain 10%, they have someone on the technical committee and someone on our board. So they always participated in any money raises we did, but this was completely separate from that. And I think it's based on the fact that we're advancing everything. We're showing the size of this and still the blue sky potential for more discovery.
So how do they view you? Is it some sort of exploration team? Is there some kind of takeout at some point?
Yeah, I think that's that's the obvious way that things are going to go. We're adding value and seeing how big it is through our exploration, but they're very involved and they're keeping a very close eye, and we have conversations with them, a good relationship with them, and we still have the other shareholders, Eric Sprott as well, and so all silver buffs, and so yeah, I think that's the end game is we're their exploration and see how big it is, and but if things don't happen, we're always looking to accumulate more silver projects, which is not easy because of the uniqueness. We want to keep it a primary silver project. It's in North America, especially in Western Canada, we're only one of 4 companies, and the rest of the primary silver plays are down in Mexico and Peru and things like that.
Yeah, and we won't get into what's been going on down there. Maybe the elections will change things down in Mexico. I do hope so.
Yeah.
Then I guess the other part of that then is if money is easy to come by, you're under no pressure to offload your kind of gold, silver assets as opposed to the pure play and focus only on silver. Is that right? Am I reading that?
It would all come together.
Right, so you want to keep everything in the same basket.
Yeah, and
Right.
because we're working on, because there are a number of high-grade underground deposits, so low tonnage, we can move any material quite easily, and so we have a number of options for the hub and spoke idea. One is we do have some old roads into the project from when it was being mined in the 20s and the 40s, and we would ship it out to Tidewater, and there's a mill at Premier, which is up in Stewart, so that would be a barge. Barging is very low cost, and then second option is there's an old mine site right at Tidewater called the Kitsault molybdenum, and that's New Moly, and we're working with them and looking at ideas about adding on a silver circuit and adding on a gold circuit, and then we would just bring it down to that area.
And is the current team the team to do that? Because this hub and spoke, it sounds nice. Sounds like a little bicycle, right? But the truth is you've got a bunch of pits which you've got to get to extract and ship somewhere and then process. And hopefully it's all the same type of ore and it's nice and simple. The reality is somewhat different. Yeah. What's your intent? You've got Hector in the background, it seems. Yep. What's your intent in terms of the current team?
We will continue de-risking and exploring. So our exploration programs are quite often made up of 50% exploration. So that's trying to find new targets, because we still have a lot of open ground that has potential, has alteration, and the idea would be to move it on to someone who has the capital to build it. But if it comes to it, our group has a good mix. Our board of directors and advisory staff is a good mix between engineers, geologists, capital markets people. So it could go any way.
Right, given your VP of Exploration, I probably won't dive into the macro stuff as I maybe hoped to, because we're going to run out of time. In terms of the exploration program, the type of drilling and what you're actually trying to achieve, given you've got multiple assets at the moment, are there obvious assets that you can make larger by perhaps focusing on them rather than finding lots of small assets?
Yeah, so we're going to be drilling 25,000 meters this year. Last year we drilled 50,000 and made a lot of new discoveries. So about a third of our program will be following up on some of those newer discoveries. We have some great gold veins that ran 1,300 grams gold with almost 800 grams silver. That's something completely new. Following up on that, and then following up on some more silver targets. And then we do quite often a lot of work around the resource. So don't necessarily expand it out, but we expand the high-grade core. So it's, we're not adding tons necessarily, but we're adding ounces by increasing the size of the higher grade core. And then a lot of that that core, that plunge that has the high-grade material, and it's wide too. It's underground and it's wide, 10 to 20 meters wide, so low-cost mining. Those extend out too, so it'll be working to expand them out as well regionally.
Okay. And obviously I think silver's come off, well, all metals have come off at the moment. We're sitting under $30 today. Unbelievable.
Yeah, a little bit.
Shouldn't be allowed. And
it'll come back.
It'll come back, but that makes such a big difference in terms of valuations, people's perception of you guys, and in terms of your growth story going forward. How closely tied to the moving silver price are you, or what have you got in your control, in your basket of tools?
Well, we have the expansion potential, right? So 4 years ago, we had a $20 million market cap. Now we're at $300 million, and it's through exploration, so finding new deposits, and through acquisition. So that's how we add value, is increasing our resource base. And yes, the silver price helps a lot because of that leverage we get from having silver equities. But really, we'll continue to try and expand through exploration and acquisition.
Okay, well, good man. Good to meet you, and good to hear a story. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I've got to